So if we start looking at our beautiful cat code here, if you guys start calling me the crazy cat guy, I'm really getting angry with you, so don't do that. But here's the cat code right now, and as you see, I'm starting to see some patterns here, and I'm seeing some code smells when we see redundant code. This is bad. So we need to refactor our code. And I see the catch again, for instance, catch, same method, catch, same method. I'm doing this again and again. So let's look into how they actually using the scaffolded version fix these issues. So let's have a look at the employee controller. And I talked about this in one of the early videos. These three functions in the top, they're actually the ones taking care of all of these different responses. And I'm going to try and move that to my class, my cat controller, because they look fine. I might move them to another class later because I'm going to use them across all of my different APIs, but let's just keep them in the class for now, just to show you how we will actually use internal functions in the class to simplify the code and make it easier to read. So let's start out with handling error. So we can send in a response and a status code if we want to. We can also only send in a response because if there is no status code, it'll automatically set it to 500. But you might want to bring some other status code. That's why it's possible to put another one in there. 500 is just something went wrong on the server. Maybe you want to put something more specific in there. You can look at the status codes if you want to dig into that. But what else do we do? Well, we return the error, and then we pretty much do the same thing. We just return a rest status with the status code of whatever we put in of 500, and then we send the error. And that's exactly the same that we're doing right here, okay? So no change there, except we can actually now take this handle error method, go down to our first get all request down here, and then we can actually inside the get, this is the beautiful power of callback, inside the catch, we can actually send in the response right here. Okay, so that's all it takes now to handle error. Let's do the same down here, and you can notice that my code is just starting to be a bit prettier. At least I don't have the same duplicate catch code again and again and again. Now it might not always be possible because maybe you want to do a very specific catch return value or do something different in the catch, but for my situation right here, it makes perfect sense because I'm just doing the same thing again and again. So let's just clean it up, right? Okay, so that was the catch. Now I handle error with a single line here. That's a lot easier for me to read. Let's see what else. There's also a response with result. Now this is if everything went well. So I want to return the cat or whatever I'm building. This is how I do it. So let me just start out by looking again. Well, I can send a response and a status code again. If I don't get a status code, I'm going to give you a 200 that things went well. But that could be a 204, that could be a 201. There's a lot of different codes out there saying that something very specific went well on the server, okay? So if everything goes well, I'm getting the function again like before, and in this case it would be my cat. I just call it entity because that's a good name when you're working with something from a database. It's an entity. And then I'm saying if the entity is actually there, well, then return it with a status code of 200 and the JSON object. Let's go down to get all. Exact same thing we have right here, just with cats, okay? So how do we do this? Well, same idea. We go in, we copy this instead of this, and then we send the response in here. And I could send in a 200 here if I wanted to, but it's already being set to 200, so I don't have to do that. Let's go down and see what else we have where we actually get a response. There's another one here, and just notice how my code starts to be a lot simpler to read. I don't have that many functions anymore. I just start to make it simpler to read. And we have one here as well, response 200, and we have a 200 here as well. So you notice how easy this is starting to get now to read. Actually, I can say then response with result, so you can actually read this, and that's the power of Promisify combined with some good named methods. So start doing that if you're not used to it. Okay, then I have a 204 here. I'll leave that. We could fix that as well, but I have something here where I don't find the cat. And notice just how long that actually is. Well, handle entity not found, that's a lot easier to understand. So let's just put that in here. If, there we go, find by async, then handle if it's not found, then respond with the results if it is found, and then catch an error if that's what you want, right? So easy to read. You gotta love it. So that's it. Now we have cleared the code. We've cleaned the code up a lot. I want to address one more thing while I'm here, and that is I got a question on one of the videos that I had before. What are the other files? You only work with 3 files right now: the controller, the model, and the index. Controller, model, index, and then there's like 4 or 5 other files. What are they all about? I'm going to show you just what they're about now, but I'm not going to explain them. We're going to do that in later videos. I'm going to have a video about socket.io, and that video is going to explain all about how we do events. And notice that this is the event file, so this guy is also involved in the socket.io. So events.js, that's for socket.io, and socket.js is for socket.io, right? What else is in here? I'm going to get back to those things, so don't worry, it will come later. What else is in here? There's something about integration and index spec. That's all about testing your code. That's unit testing, integration testing. Again, it will come in later videos. I don't want to cover it now. Just leave the files there for now. We'll get into them as the course moves along. Don't worry about it. Leave the files there whenever they're scaffolded and just don't touch them, and we'll get back to how to use them. See you in the next lesson.